There's no reason why that couldn't be your story.
You don't have an expiration date.
I love that.
The actual pages. Like, that's all that matters at the end of the day.
This is the Authors and Agents podcast. Avione, I'm so excited to have you here with me today and to talk about your debut novel, Pied, which comes out October 15th. So start off by telling me a little blurb for that.
Yes, I have to say I'm really happy to be here. So I'm excited to talk all about this book. So we'll see how it goes. And you wanted me to give you a blurb of it. So for my book, it's about a colorblind boy. Yes, it is about a colorblind boy who discovers that he is a Pied Piper and can turn music into colorful magic, the baseline.
Oh, I love
And
it.
when he discovers this at the very beginning, he gets sent off into this magical Piper world, which is, still inside our world. Think Percy Jackson. And he gets to find out all about all these Piper guys and how quirky they are and where he fits in it.
No, I love it. That's so exciting. I love reading middle grade books. I have, school age children and I have found some of my favorite books I've read as an adult have been middle grade books because there's just something so wonderful about that age group. So I'm super excited for you. It sounds wonderful. And this is such a huge accomplishment, your debut novel coming out into the world. So tell me a little bit about your journey to this point through publishing.
Sure. So it has been a long journey to the long journey was getting an agent, actually. I was one of the lucky ones who got my publishing deal relatively quickly. As we all know, in publishing, everything's slow. So that's why I say relatively quickly. But I started writing this book, I want to say like way back, I want to say in 2016. I just was trying to get it down. And you know how you have something in your head for a long time, and then finally you're like, I'm just going to do it. So that's how it was. So I had it in my head for many, many years. And in 2016, I thought, let me just try to write whatever kind of, horrible first draft I can write. And I gave myself a goal to just try to write it in 1 month. So that, my own personal NaNoWriMo. So I sat down, tried to write it as quickly as possible, and allowed myself to be really horrible and for it to not even look like a book, basically, by the time I finished. And that's how I got my first draft, which wasn't even really a first draft. It was more like a really, 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 really long outline of a book. But once I had that, I had the beginning, I had kind of a nonsense middle, and then I had the ending. I feel like when you have the beginning and you have the ending, you can kind of work backwards. So once I had my book, I finished, it took like another couple years for it to get into enough shape to send out to agents. So I think I did DB Pitt and I tried Pitch Wars. No, I didn't try Pitch Wars. My goal was to try to get into Pitch Wars, which is now non-existent. But when it was still going, I think that was a lot of writers' goals to just get their book written well enough to get accepted into Pitch Wars. And that's when you would get paired with a author mentor to help get your book to the next level. It wasn't always an author, but you would get paired with a mentor. So I was lucky enough in 2019 to get accepted into Pitch Wars. And I had a lovely writer, Shakira Bourne, who helped get this truly nonsense draft. I still think it was nonsense, but it had its heart in there into a book. So she saw the heart in it and she was like, okay, this is how we can kind of get it into book form. And she really, really helped me out. She is so wonderful and amazing. We still keep in touch. And once we got it into that form, then we started sending it out to agents. So previously, before Pitch Wars, I had sent it out to, like, for 2 years, I had kind of sent it to a few agents here, a few agents there. I think I had sent it to around 20 agents in those 2 years.
Mm.
And no bites. I think one person requested like a full, or maybe two people requested fulls out of like 20 or 30. Could have been 30 people. I think it was like 33 is sticking in my head. So I feel like 33 agents and like 2 bites. So I wasn't doing too well. But after Pitch Wars, 12 agents requested, I think it was 12, requested my book. So I was so happy. This is why people loved Pitch
Yeah.
Wars. And I sent my
Yep.
book out to them, but none of them requested like to take me on. So I was like, well, okay, but at least I have this really nice book that I was confident in, my mentor was confident in. So that's when I just went full hog and just sent it out to so many people, because previously I wasn't confident in the book. And, they often say don't send it out to a lot of agents if you're not confident in it, because that kind of can ruin your chance with that one book with that agent, depending on if they're open to
Yeah.
seeing a revision. And a lot of agents are so swamped currently that they might not be open to it. But in the past, I think they were maybe a bit more open to it. Take all I say with a grain of salt. I haven't queried in like 2 years, so I don't truly know how querying is right now. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
that part might be wrong. But at the time, it was 2020, so we're going into COVID. No one knew this at the time, but I was submitting it all with my friends, and I want to say I got up to like 60 submissions. And something about Pitch Wars, a lot of people requested, but there's something about me just submitting on my own where people just didn't request. My request rate was so low. It was like, it had to be like 1 or 2%. It was really low. And
Yeah.
with all said and done, I want to say I sent it to over 100 agents. Some of them might have been, I sent it to them twice, like once before Pitch Wars and once after.
Mm.
And
Yes.
possibly not counting the agents that requested in Pitch Wars, like maybe 5 people requested the book. So I was really happy. Pitch Wars did its job with at least getting people to read it. So my mentor was like, well, I don't know what's wrong with these agents. They're just crazy or something. I love your book and I feel like it's good to go. So how about you try submitting to like some publishers who automatically, like, they also accept they also accept unagented books. So I did that, and she
Yeah.
suggested some ones that like Chicken House was one that's in the UK, and I think author Levine, which is like Querido now, Levine Querido books. At the time, he was still just author Levine books. I submitted to them, and she suggested I submit to some UK agents because she thought my writing style might fit well with them. And she also told me about this mentorship program that one of her friends told her about to tell me about. I was so like, oh my gosh, this is so nice. Your friend told you to tell me. This is wonderful. And it was called the Madeline Milburn Mentorship Program. So I submitted to
Oh,
them
yeah.
in May, and I was one of the lucky 6 who was accepted into that mentorship program. It came with representation. So I was able to get an agent through that program. So I actually didn't get one through the regular querying avenue.
Yeah.
And it's so weird because it's like, what's going on here with querying? Because it's not, there were 1,500 applicants for that program. So I was sitting here thinking I stood zero chance, but I was happy to do it because I'm just sending, I'm just throwing water to
Yeah.
the waves, I'm just sending it everywhere. And
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's good advice for people if you feel like you have a really strong manuscript that's gone out to beta readers, people have read it, people have enjoyed it, and they don't know how you can make it better, to just send it out to as many people as you can to see what happens, because that's literally what I did. And when I got in, I was so excited, and I was just in the mentorship program. It was a 1-year program where my agent at the time, still my agent, where my agent went through the book and gave me some suggestions on how to fix it. And it took like a year and a half of edits with her. And then I went out on submission in 2021, I think. Yeah, 2021 in March. And when I went out on submission in March or February, it was one of them. I got my deal in June. So that time period was very short.
Yeah.
Even though when you're
very
going through,
short.
yes, but when you're going through it, it feels like every day feels like 10 days. So it feels so long when you're in the thick of it. But as soon as you get your deal and you look back, it's like, oh, 3 months. That's like super short. You know what I mean? But I was very, very, very
Yes.
happy when the deal came in.
That's so exciting. Yeah, you definitely had a journey where it's like long, 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 and then very condensed at the end, which I'm sure you were very grateful for after going
So
through that whole
grateful.
querying process.
Yes, I feel like it averaged out because, and you never know what's going to happen with sending your book out there. Like some people get an agent lickety split, like super fast.
Mhm.
And then they're on submission for like 2 years. And some people get their agent in 1 month and then get their deal in like one weekend. And it's been like a 6-week process for them. And, so I was just so grateful. I was like, oh, well, at least this period was short. And now I can start editing with my editor.
Well, I love that your mentor from Pitch Wars too was like really looking out for you. She was really, even after Pitch Wars was over, was like, we're still in this together. Like, let me figure out all these different opportunities for you. So that's
Yes.
so great. I'm sure that's such a nice connection to have.
Yes. She's so wonderful. She's like in my corner. Kira Bourne, so great.
You got to have somebody who's in your corner who understands the industry to be able to like help pull you through those hard moments.
Yes.
Well, talking about Pied a little bit, tell me what is something you hope readers will take away from this story.
Yes, I just want people to read it and to just be happy reading it. I really want them to just leave their day behind and to slip right into this new world and to be happy to be in this new world. And that is all. You don't have to, hopefully, they take away less stress after they finish reading it. They come in, maybe they have some problems in their day, sit down, read this book, have a couple chuckles, have some laughs, get excited about the tiny bits of magic that are there, and then leave feeling much better.
I think that is a great goal and a great hope for your readers, because I think we all want reading to be an escape in that way, right? To give us a little lighter feeling when we're
Exactly.
done. So, when you love to read for yourself and you're looking for a little bit of that escape, who are some of your favorite authors to read?
Yes. So I read through the gamut. Since I'm writing middle grade, I also read a lot of middle grade while writing. So, of course, I love the Amari series. I love the Amari series with B.B. Alston. I love the Nevermore series with I think Jessica Townsend. I might have that wrong, but I love the Nevermore series.
Mm-hmm.
And I recently read The Marvelers with Donnell Clayton, I believe. Please fix all the authors' names if I'm saying them wrong. But I love The Marvelers and Skandar. I recently read Skandar and the Unicorn Thief. I was going to dive back into Percy Jackson since the series had kickstarted on the Disney Channel, but I hadn't had a chance to dive back into that yet. But, I love revisiting books too. I'm one of those people who can read one book 5, 10, 15 times if I want to.
Mm-hmm.
And those are basically the middle grades I'm looking forward to. There are some 2024 debuts that I hope to read because I know The Skeleton Flute also has kind of a Pied Piper, not theme, but kind of magic to it. So I really wanted to check that one out. And The Dividing Sky is one I want to read by Jill too. She just seems so cool. And I want to read her book, which is sci-fi. And that's young adult, I think. So not actually middle grade.
But that's okay.
But yeah,
it's
I'm
good to
all
read,
over.
obviously. Yeah, I mean, you have to read what you're writing, so that's so wonderful. But it is good, I'm sure, to read different things and YA and see what
Yeah,
else is out there.
exactly. Like I was recently not gifted, but loaned Circe because some of my friends were like, "Oh, read this. We've all read it. And we liked it." So that's the next book I plan on reading, and of course, that's an adult book. And I love literary and anything with a like a twist, like kind of a slightly magical twist to it, but it doesn't have to be a ton of magic. And I love science fiction, though I haven't read a lot of science fiction, which is why I want to read The Dividing Sky because it is science fiction. So I want to check that one out.
I love science fiction. There's something I could never write science fiction because I feel like there's way too much science that goes into it, I feel like, for me. But oh my gosh, I so enjoy reading it. It is so fun.
Mhm. I love reading it. I love watching it. So
Yes.
I need to dive into some more books about it.
We've got time. Well, thinking back on your journey through publishing as you were drafting Pied, what is some advice you would share with your younger self or an aspiring author?
Yes. So for my younger self, for my younger self, I think I gave myself my best advice at that current time, which was just write the worst crap. You can like just write it. It doesn't matter if it's the worst crap ever.
Yeah.
And it also doesn't matter if there's like bullet points in your book and there shouldn't be. So I was just like, just get it out. Get everything out of your head, get it onto some paper. It's going to be not a book. It's just going to be nonsense. So I think that's the best advice for people who are not able to get over that hump of finishing the book. And for people who are trying to write a book, definitely give yourself a deadline. So that's why it's like 1 month. Do it, finish it, allow it to be super crappy, and just get it done. And that gives you something to work with, at least for me. It gave me something to like mold into a better shape. And for writers who have a book, I would say try to get into a mentorship program. So there's WTMP is a current mentorship program that's still going on. I don't know when it takes applicants, but I know they do it twice a year. And I'm part of that. So when I'm available, I'm able to be a mentor for that program. And unfortunately, after Pitch Wars ended, I'm not sure all the big mentorship programs, but if you're able to find one, I'm sure they're Googleable because that's how I found Pitch Wars. I just Googled author mentorship program, found one, found a great mentor, and was able to get my book on track. If you're not able to find a mentorship program, I dread sending people to Twitter, or any social media because I feel like keep your sanity and just stay off. But there are some authors who openly make themselves available to DMs. So they're just like, hey, if you're a new author and you need some advice, DM me. So there are some authors like that online, especially in the young adult and middle grade space. So I would take that as an open invite. Some of my friends are also just very straightforward and they'll just DM whoever. So I would say, so long as you're courteous and you approach an author just in a way of asking, do you know of any good writing programs? I think that's likely to get a response from some people. You don't know, I don't know everybody's personality. So I can't say everyone's going to respond. But if it's a person who's made themselves available online, they give good advice and good, I don't know what somebody's good advice is, but they give advice on a program, their advice sounds good to you, then I would say you can ask them if they know of any opportunities for beginning writers and see what they say. And then, of course, look into it. Don't just sign up from their suggestion, but look into it, see if it's good for you. Oh my gosh, I forgot the most amazing. So, the Odyssey program is great. The Odyssey workshop. I was in that one too, and it is fabulous. So, if anyone, the only difference is this one is paid. So, WTMP is free, but the Odyssey workshop, you will have to pay. And they have scholarships that you can get, but it's a wonderful workshop that you can do at your house. You don't have to go anywhere to be in it. And Jean, the person who runs it, she is absolutely fantastic. So I would say WTMP or the Odyssey Writing Workshop are two great places to start. And you can probably Google writing programs, but put those two in your search results to see what else could pop up.
Oh, I think that's all such great advice. I love your advice calling back to like your own experience. You can't revise a book that you don't have at least started on paper, right? So yeah, if there's bullet points for a scene that you need to write in later, at least it's there and you can add it in. I think that is good advice. Like, get out of your head and get it all down on paper. And then yeah, mentorship programs are so wonderful. I wish like Author Mentor Match and Pitch Wars were still running. Of course, they're not, and maybe we'll see
Yes, that
more
one,
that
Author
come up
Mentor
later
Math,
on.
is good.
Yeah. But maybe someday. But
Yeah.
yeah, thank you for those tips and that advice. And of course, with the caveat of like, you've got to do your own research, but also trust the people who are giving you advice, because advice is
Right.
not like one size fits all for everybody.
So true.
Yeah. So I don't know what you're working on next, but clearly Pied is, kind of like this magical and contemporary world. But if you were to genre hop and try something different, like what is something you would love to try writing?
Yes. So if I were to write something different, I think it would be a contemporary, and I think it would be like a mystery. So, but a middle grade. So I would still maintain that age category, but I think it would be so fun to write like a only murders in the building, but middle grade style with something going on. And then the kids would have to figure out what's happening with their teachers or something, like if it happened in their school or whatever. But I think that would be really exciting.
That would be super exciting. Yeah, mysteries are so fun and they appeal to all ages. And of course, as long as they're made appropriate for that age, right? You don't
Right.
want it to be too much, but mysteries are so fun. I love that. That would be exciting.
Yeah,
I've written a mystery and it requires lots of pins and note cards
I
and keeping track
know.
of everything because it is a lot.
That would be the part where because I just write and I just write whatever. So I know the mystery has to be structured. You got to put your red herrings in. You have to put like your clues in,
Yes.
but you don't want them to be too vague and you don't want them to be too obvious.
Mhm.
So it would be a good challenge. So that's something I'd enjoy.
Yeah, it would be a good challenge. And what's so fun about it is the excitement of like, okay, yes, like I'm going to try to trick them right here and get them on this one path. And I always love asking people
Yeah,
after they've read it, like, okay, tell me like who you thought it was going to be and like when did you figure it out? Like that's always so fun to not to trick
right.
your reader in a mean way, but just to help them feel excited along the way.
Yes, exactly. Share the excitement.
Yes, yes. So along your journey, I know your mentor has been such a great supporter for you, but who have been your other like biggest supporters of your writing?
Yes, my husband has been a big supporter, of course, because he'll give me some quiet time to write. And my one of my best friends of all time, my college roommate, Mrs. Jackson, she is that's my nickname for her, but she is awesome and she's so encouraging. She read my horrible first drafts, which were truly horrible. And one of my sorority sisters is so awesome. She also read my really horrible first draft. And when I say read it, like I give it to them and they read it like within 24, 48 hours. So
Yeah.
they read it really
Yeah.
quickly and they tell me it's the best, and keep going. So they are so wonderful. So they definitely stand out as in the very, very early stages when I was scared to tell anyone I was trying to write anything. They like gave me that encouragement to kind of keep it going. So of course they're going to be at the party when this book comes out.
Yes. Yes. And they're going to look at it and be like, wow, look at what it looks like now. And they'll be able to remember that first draft that they read with the bullet points. Like,
Yes.
such a good job. Such a transformation,
Yes.
right?
And it's exciting to take that journey with somebody to be like, oh, man, I don't even know what I'm doing. And they're like, oh, yeah, well, keep going. And then a few years later, it's like, oh my gosh, you actually have a book that somebody purchased and it's going to be available for people to buy.
Yeah. Yeah. So exciting. I have a great friend like that too, who reads I like to give her books like as I'm writing them. So I'll be like, here's the first, here's what I've got. And it will change
Yeah.
so much throughout the first draft. I mean, it's chaotic, right? Like I'm like, oh, sorry, I changed this character's name. So now blah, blah. But she is so great and just rides along with it. And is
Right.
great. She gives me that encouragement of like, please finish this. I need to read the rest. So you've got to have friends like that.
Yes, definitely.
So I've just got a couple questions left for you. So when you're writing and you're in the thick of it, what's like your writing fuel? Like favorite snack or favorite drink?
Yes, I am so bad. Writing is so bad for my health. I need to come up with some better snacks because I drink Kool-Aid, but like the little Kool-Aid packs. So I drink that, always the like cherry Kool-Aid, and that gives me like some energy to keep going. I love blow pops. So I'll just feel like sucking on a blow pop, trying to type something out, and then chewing, on the gum for a while, like toss it and eat another blow pop. It's so bad. And I also really love the mini Snickers that you give out at Halloween, like the really tiny ones. So there's some that are like this big, and then there's some that are like little
Yeah.
squares. I love those.
Yep.
So I'll freeze them. I'll put them in the freezer, and then I'll take them out. So when I eat them, they're like a little cold, and I can kind of chew on it a little bit longer. It's so bad. So I need to have some better stuff. Sometimes I'll do cheese and crackers and something else, but I think it's like the hit of sugar I need to keep going.
Yeah.
I also drink milk tea, which has a whole bunch of sugar in it. So it's too much sugar. I try to substitute with honey, but it's just a lot. So I need to like switch it to fruit. I'm into smoothies now. So he'll make some
There you
smoothies
go.
with fruit, maybe put some veggies in there. So that's also good. But yeah, my go-to, especially middle of the night writing when I'm just like, oh, I need to stay awake and write this, like blow pops and Kool-Aid and Snickers bars. So bad. It's so bad.
That is quite a lot of sugar, but I hear you. Sometimes you just need that hit of sugar to be like, okay, I can keep going. I've got all the sugar running through my veins now. But that is a lot of sugar.
It is a lot. And it's bad. And I tell myself this, like, okay, just until this draft is over and then no more. And I usually stick to that. But at the time, I'm just like, I just got to finish.
Yeah. Well, my last question for you sounds a little bit difficult, but it isn't. I'd love to know what your favorite book is right now, not your favorite book of all time, but just something you've read recently that you were like, wow, this is super good. Other people need to know about it.
Yes. Okay. So I am not sure the best book I've read now, but I have read some super great books, and past and present. But I want to say a book that just blew me off my feet that I read recently was Anne of Green Gables, if you can believe it. I hadn't read it. I never read it as a child, but my own kids are reading it for school. So I was like, oh, let me go ahead and check this one out. And I read it and I was like, oh my gosh, this book is flipping amazing. It was written in like, I don't know, 100 years ago. I don't know, like forever ago. You know what I mean? And I just couldn't believe that I still loved it because I loved the TV show and, or was it a movie? I don't know. Watching it growing up, but that one was one that I was just amazed by. Outside of that, I really enjoyed Amari and the Night Brothers. It's an ongoing series. But I would say my absolute favorite book I've read recently is the Nevermore series. And it has not been topped yet. So I read the first book, the second book, the third book. I'm highly anticipating the fourth book. It's been delayed for about 2 years. So I'm just rereading the first ones. I know, but I love you, and just take your time in writing it. Make it as good as you can make it. But yes, I'm just sitting here like, okay, I understand. Just let me know so I can put my countdown for when it comes out. But I think her series is my absolute favorite right now. And surprising to me, I should say, I have gotten into graphic novels. Graphic novels part isn't surprising. But the surprising part is I really like Cat Kid graphic novel.
Oh, my son reads those, like yeah.
I'm like, how can you put some heartfelt stuff into this book that's all about, I don't know, just, things that little kids like who are 10, 11, 8, 7 years old. But sometimes Cat Kid comic will like come with some actual like interesting, introspective things, almost like a Calvin and Hobbes. It's like, wow, that's a nice little observation right there. So I surprisingly really am enjoying those.
My son came to me with one of them the other day before school and was like, look at this. And he like read me a few pages and it was like so heartfelt and like a little bit sad. And I was like, oh my gosh.
That is so true. Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, this book is like pulling some emotions from me. I was so surprised.
That's not supposed to happen with a comic book sort of book, like graphic novel.
It is not supposed to happen at all. And we've read them all. Like we read Captain Underpants, we read Dog Man, and we've read Cat Kid comics now. So I just really enjoy, I guess, Dave Pilkey. Mm-hmm. Dave Pilkey's storytelling. Like his ability to kind of weave a circular tale, something that happens in the beginning comes right back around at the end to be important. So I'm always like, these are like some pretty fun stories. And then, of course, the Cat Kid comes with the heart. So I'm just like, and I don't even know if kids even see the heart in it. They just see the jokes, but it'll hit you every now and then.
My son, he's 10 and he was like, this is like kind of sad. Like, listen to this. So I think, maybe if he reads it a couple more times and maybe gets a little older, he'll realize whatever, the message that it was. But he was like, it's sad. What's going on right here? I was like, well, at least he's seeing the difference between the jokes. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that's good. He's an aware little person.
He is. He feels his emotions very big.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for sharing those favorites. I have not read the Nevermore series, but it looks like something that I'd love to read aloud with my kids. So I put the first one in my little shopping cart. So thanks for sharing those and for letting me pick your brain and get to know you and sharing such great advice. It is such a wonderful year to have your debut come out, and I'm excited to have everybody read it. So everybody make sure to pre-order Pied so that we can all, have a great debut day.
Thank you. Yes, I always forget. I need to tell people to pre-order my book. But yes, if you feel the need, please pre-order, and I would appreciate it. But it's been such a delight talking to you. This has been so fun, shooting the breeze about books, and trying to write a book. So I've had a blast.